So because I'm hungry, lazy, and very tired, my snack has consisted of raisins, cashews, and orange juice. Go me! Super healthy! Book of Disquiet. Finally finished it. It's been a year and a half. So this book is by Fernando Pessoa Cadasorda. He's written everything in this book, and he intended to do a compilation like this of his writings, but he failed to do so before he died. However, he had like notes and instructions on how to do this, and this guy, Richard Zenith, kind of did it for him. So this book was originally in Portuguese, I believe, so the translations are kind of a little weird. And the places are not places that I know about. There's notes in the back about all the places that he mentions, all the authors that he mentions, stuff like that. So when I was originally reading this book, like February of 2013, I was writing all my notes on a little note card and using that note card as the like bookmark, and I didn't take them out when I returned them to the library. So when I got the book, when I re-requested the book, it didn't have my notes in it, and I was like, oh man! However, this last time that I got the book, I had my notes in the back, and I was so excited and so happy. Because I had my notes for everything, and I didn't have to like rack my brain or reread it. It's very hard to get through for me. I mean, I couldn't like sit down and read the whole thing in one go. Like seriously, every like 20 pages or something, I would just find my mind just drifting. And I was just not taking anything in. So most of this is just like ideas and thoughts about his life that he wrote down, and just commentaries on the people around him. And they're actually really interesting. It's very insightful. It's very contradictory. I mean, it's exactly like how people are. And he has this like kind of explanation that we have different personalities in our body, and sometimes we embody those different personalities, and then the next day it's a different one. Which I kind of agree with, because some days I'm like, I'm gonna do my nails, and I'm gonna do my hair, and I'm gonna be really girly, and some days I'm like, I want to sit here and watch Fast and Furious and work on a car. So I just have different feelings about things. Like today, for instance, it's all dreary outside, and there is no way that I'm doing any work. I'm just not gonna be productive today, so I'm recording videos. The book is kind of organized so that like subjects are combined. So when he talks about like death in a specific way, they're lumped together. They're put together so the subjects are similar, and it's not quite so jumpy and confusing. It really tested my vocabulary skills. It did. I had to look things up, and some of the words were in different languages, and the notes in the back helped, but so, it was a little difficult sometimes. He has this wonderful way of writing beautiful prose and explaining himself and just getting his point across in a beautiful way. The translator did a really good job of keeping to the original notes. There's like a little square whenever the author had deliberately left out a word that he would like fill in later, like an adjective or something. The 5 dots, the period ellipses or whatever it's called, is where you couldn't read his notes, and so it's just, there's more to it, but we don't know what it is. So the notes at the very back of the book explain everything about each individual section. So let me explain. First of all, there are sections. They're like tiny little chapters. So this one is itself, and this one starts here. And where'd it go? This one starts here and goes down and covers that. So in the back, each one has its own little explanation, and it has everything in it. If it was typed or written, the date, and the description of things that might be confusing for the reader. So for the first one, for instance, it says 439-38-9, typed, dated 29 March 1930, marked beginning passage. So the first one is obviously the beginning passage. It's just, it's a whole lot of information about each of them. So if you want to know more about whatever's going on, you just have to look in the back. He has a whole bunch of references to other writers, and that was just so incredibly hard. I'm not a reader of Portuguese prose, I guess. That's my fault. There's also a whole bunch of Portuguese towns that were referenced, and I don't know where they are. And I don't know why that town in particular was what he was talking about in most places. So the way he writes it is kind of like a thought process. Some thoughts are just incomplete, and some of them are repetitive and a little bit confusing, just like it would be if I was trying to explain myself to somebody else, or if he was trying to explain himself. He also changes his ideas about things, and I know that a lot of the major things, like life and death and politics, for instance, there are a lot of things that you can be on both sides about, and one day you believe in it, and the next day you don't, and there's a lot of that going on. In this book, it can be a little hard for the reader to determine, but the author did write in different personas, which are explained at the very back of the book after the notes. He sounds crazy sometimes, he really does, but I do like that he explains himself a little bit better. Like, he doesn't just say, this is something I believe in, and I don't know why, and that's just how it's gonna be. He at least tries to examine why he feels certain ways about certain things. There is a quote that really got to me as a writer and as an editor when some of my clients feel like what they're doing, like their writing is not important, and they feel stressed out about it, especially as we come to a deadline and they're nowhere near being done. What I write, bad as it is, may provide some hurt or sad soul a few moments of distraction from something worse. It doesn't matter how horribly god-awful your writing is. If somebody else can be taken away by your words and go off into fantasy land for like 10 seconds and they're having the worst day ever, the worst life imaginable, you are doing something good. So I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's not 5 out of 5 just because I had trouble reading it and it was a struggle for me. I liked it, I wasn't blown away by it. I would definitely recommend this to adults. Teenagers, I just don't feel like they might have the proper maturity to understand like half of what's going on, and I don't understand half of what was going through his head. Probably 21 and up. And you definitely have to want to read something like this in order to get through it. Yep, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I have links for my blog down here, down there, wherever you're watching this. Blog, FoodFoolery, and Hub Pages. I'll see you next week.